Hi guys, this is Christina, the AmputeeOT. In this video, I'm going to be talking about airline travel for amputees. If you're an amputee and you've never traveled on an airline, you might be a little apprehensive. Because what is TSA going to do to you because you're an amputee? Are you allowed to go through the metal detectors? Are they going to make you take off your prosthetic? These are a lot of questions that I had when I flew for the first time since having my amputation. As you may or may not know, when you go through the airport, you have to be screened for security. So what that means is you have to remove your shoes, have all of your baggage and carry-ons checked, and go through one of several different screening processes that will screen your body. Either you can go through a metal detector, advanced imaging technology, or have a pat-down. Of course, problems arise when people come through security screening who have prosthetics or who can't remove their shoes. If you are not able to remove your shoes or your prosthetic or stand up from your wheelchair, all you have to do is tell the TSA agents that you're not able to do those things. They are not required to ask you to prove that you have a disability. A lot of people wear prosthetics that are really hard to get shoes on and off of. You practically have to use a shoehorn and a bodybuilder to get the shoe on and off of your foot. If you're not able to remove your shoes due to a medical condition or to having a prosthetic, then you can simply tell the TSA agents that you are unable to remove your shoes, and they will either send you through the metal detector or send you through advanced imaging, or have you go through a pat-down, and they will also probably test your shoes for explosive residue. When I went through airport security, I removed my shoes and I just walked through the advanced imaging screening. So they screened my prosthetic, but they didn't actually have to touch me. Once I was done with the screening, they swiped these white pads across my hands and across my prosthetic to test for explosive residue. It used to be the case that TSA used a device called the cast scope to perform additional screening on people with prosthetics or casts. But thanks to the actions of the Amputee Coalition of America and other advocacy organizations for amputees and people wearing casts, the cast scope has been eliminated. And so now passengers with prosthetics or casts are subject to the same treatment as any other able-bodied individual. If you're an amputee and you use a wheelchair, then your wheelchair will be tested for explosive residue as well. I brought my wheelchair with me because I was afraid if I had a problem where I couldn't use my leg, I wouldn't be able to get around. So I just went ahead and brought my wheelchair. What happened is, when I got to airport security, they sent my wheelchair off to the side and they tested it and checked it to make sure I wasn't carrying anything that I shouldn't be carrying. And that included opening up and looking inside my cushion. If you are still having problems walking long distances and are afraid you'll have to walk like 30 miles when you're in the airport, then there are always wheelchairs available upon request, and a lot of the employees who work for the airport will be willing to push you from one end of the airport to the other. Just be prepared to be put in like the most gigantic, huge, rickety airport wheelchair in the entire world. If you're traveling with any special equipment such as extra socks, extra liners, or tools to take off and remove your prosthetic or prescription medications, then I would definitely recommend taking all of those very important items and putting them in your carry-on luggage so that in the event that TSA happens to lose your baggage, then you still have those necessary items once you get to your destination. One really interesting thing that happened on my way home is that I was about to board my flight. I realized that I did not have a seating assignment yet, and when I brought this to the attention of one of the flight agents, they put me in seat 1A, which is a first class seat. It was really cool because I had my own TV and the seats reclined all the way back and I felt like I was living in the lap of luxury. I don't know if the TSA agent bumped me up to first class because I was a passenger with a disability or not, but I at least got to relax in my seat that reclined all the way down into a bed for the duration of my flight, which was super cool. Here's an interesting thing for amputees that you might not really be thinking of, and that is when you're on the airplane, you notice that the air pressure changes a lot. In fact, airlines tell you to be careful with your liquids just in case your liquids might explode due to the change in pressure. So, what happens if you're traveling as an amputee and you're wearing your prosthetic and the air pressure changes in the cabin? Does that affect the volume of your prosthetic? I found that it did not affect the volume of my prosthetic. I was afraid that my leg might swell up a little bit or shrink a little bit and cause my prosthetic to not fit properly, but that didn't really happen at all. I was kind of surprised, and I was definitely happy about that because I didn't want anything bad to happen, like my leg to explode or something. While you are sitting in your seats getting ready for your flight and during your flight, you can absolutely expect whoever's sitting next to you to ask you about your prosthetic if you are in fact showing it, which is totally cool with me. I was super happy to answer anybody's questions about using my prosthetic. And of the 4 total flights that I took, on 3 of them, somebody next to me asked me about my prosthetic. And one guy even had seen me on the news, so that was pretty cool. He was pretty excited about having seen me and known me, and he totally said that he was going to go home and tell his daughter about how he met me on the airplane. So if you are an amputee and you're traveling on an airline, you can absolutely expect your seatmates to ask you about your prosthetic. So just be prepared to answer their questions about whatever they may have to talk about. Which I know any of you guys who watch my videos are totally open to answering anybody's questions, obviously. Oh hey, if you're an amputee traveling on an airplane and you need more leg room, all you have to do is take yours off. Alright, does anybody watching this video have a really interesting experience they had going through TSA checkpoints? If so, I'd like to know in the comments below, so go down there and tell me your story. If you have any other questions that I did not answer in this video about going through the airport as an amputee, you can always go to tsa.gov and you can look it up. It's really easy, and their website is actually pretty informative and pretty easy to navigate through. TSA even has a helpline, which is called TSA Cares, the phone number I'll put right about here, that you can call pretty much anytime you want, and you can ask them any kind of question about travel with a disability. I actually called the TSA Cares helpline just to see what it was like, and I found the TSA officials to be really friendly and accommodating, and they were easily able to answer any of my questions that I had about the screening process when you're going through the airport. Okay guys, that's all for now. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments section below. You can subscribe if you like. I put out new videos every Wednesday, and if you're traveling as an amputee, happy traveling! See you later! Amps on a Plane, the new thriller starring Denzel Washington, in which hundreds of amputees are released on an airplane in order to kill somebody with apotemnophobia. Whoa. Oh. Ah. Okay, no, really. This... Oh my god, I'm alone in my room. I can't even do this now.